Special guest joining Mom's Basement MMA. He is one of the top welterweight fighters on the East Coast. His name is Nick Caracappa, and he joins me today ahead of his next fight versus Alex Brown at Ring of Combat 84. The Italian Stallion, Nick Caracappa, joins me right now. Nick, welcome back to the program, sir. It's always a pleasure to have you on, man. I always like talking to you.
It's the best podcast on earth. It's my
Yes,
honor
sir.
to come on here before every fight.
Thought your pro debut said a lot about you, and it like reaffirmed everything about you that I knew to be true. That like Nick goes out there, he looks for the toughest fights possible. You proved that in your pro debut, and I'm hoping we could start our interview there. The Forest fight, that guy is like tough as nails, and of course he went on to become the CFFC champion. What are some of the things that you remember from your professional debut?
That was honestly it was like everything was so quick going into that fight. The camp, the short notice, the pullouts, everything was moving really fast paced, and especially in the fight, it was the fastest paced fight I've ever fought in training or even out there under the lights. It was a different pace than I ever fought before. It was an amazing fight. The only thing I can take away from it is that it made me a completely different savage that I'm going to take into every other fight now. I don't plan on losing for a long time.
One of the things that really stands out to me about that fight is like I've listened to Forrest, I've listened to him go on podcasts, I've listened to interviews that he's done since you fought him. And it seems to me that like he has like a ton of respect for you. And he's like, yo, this kid is like really tough. And I really had to work for it. Like, can you talk to me a little bit about that? Like, I saw photos of you guys at post bout, and like, what is it about that guy? Like, can you share with the audience, like, what are some of the things that he said to you after you fought him?
I don't really remember like what led up to that. I just knew like before the fight, we said like we'll take like a picture together after the fight. Like there was already mutual respect going into that fight. I believe it's also because like the fight before that, that fight it was so like mentally draining and so much energy was going into the fight that it was like cool finding somebody that was on the same page as me that's just down to fight, no bullshit, just goes out there and bangs. And we already had that like mutual respect, and we also like were almost matched up. I believe in like 2020, 2021, we were matched up for CFFC, and it never came together. But Marquez is a really cool guy. He's honestly the best fighter I've ever fought. It was an honor to fight him early in my career because it already made me a completely different fighter. I don't really know too much to say like how like everything came together with that. He is the first fighter that I faced that I'm like cool with after the fight that we like stay in contact. I hope to train with him one day as well.
We always like talk about the pro debut, right? Like there's a lot that leads up to it, and everyone envisions like I'm going to go out there, I'm going to get an early knockout. It's going to be my name on Tapology, and then a 1-0 record. And then for you, of course, it didn't end up working out that way. And like obviously that's a disappointment, even though like the guy that you fought isn't a bum, even though like he's went on to become the champion. Like that sucks, right? You go out there, you fight your heart out, it doesn't go your way. Did you have to like physically and mentally reset after that fight?
Yeah, it took me honestly a little bit because going into this fighting shit, I envisioned myself staying undefeated my entire career, never losing a fight. So like when the dust settled and I'm by myself, nobody's hitting me up saying good shit, like congratulations. Like it was all by myself. Mad lonely this sport is, and definitely had to do like a reset. Took a little time off from training, really get myself back into the right mindset for this next guy. It was definitely one of the most hardest things I ever had to deal with is losing in this shit, because I put a lot of time and energy into the sport, and especially in your pro debut, like you said, you want to start off 1-0 and shit. I'm the complete opposite. I consider myself now the diamond in the rough, that I'm gonna fucking go on a 20-fight win streak and go into the UFC and become champ.
Nick, one of the more interesting things about the regional MMA scene, like when you're talking about the northeastern part of the country, is it can be tough to get fights. And there are a lot of guys that like compete for a lot of different promotions. And you're one of them. You've competed with several promotions over the years. And is that kind of like what we can expect from you kind of like moving forward, just kind of taking the best fights wherever they happen to be with whatever particular promotion and not being particularly tied down to like one particular entity. Like that's the thing about you. You fought for Flex, you fought for Ring of Combat, Dead Serious, CFFC. Is that something that we can kind of like more or less expect from you to kind of be bouncing around taking one fight deals between now and then eventually moving up to the next level of MMA?
Yeah, as long as they send me a contract and the money's right, my brother Phil's nickname is the Hitman, but I also consider myself the Hitman too. That they send me the contract and I'm just going out there to kill. So it depends really on the price. I really do think I'm one of the most exciting fighters on the regional scene, honestly, and I would say that's not even in the UFC. Being 0-1, I'm one of the top exciting fighters in the world, I would say. The energy I bring into the fights and the way I fight, I don't leave anything in the cage when I fight.
Nick, one of the things that stand out to me about your fighting style is your power, first and foremost. Like you're very aggressive, and like every single strike that you throw is with fight ending intentions. Are you expecting your opponent, Alex Brown, to try to really want to test your grappling, really want to try to take you down to the ground? Or do you think that this fight against him is just going to be a stand and bang sort of contest?
Viewing his fights and watching some of his fights, he likes to keep it standing. He definitely don't like the grappling aspect of the fights and shit. I know he's gonna try to stay away from that. It'd be a surprise if he does try to grapple, but I'll definitely be ready for that. And I think judging off his record and shit, he definitely won't grapple with me because I think I'll fucking submit him really quick. I think the fight's gonna play out pretty much however I want it to be. He might come out fast. I expect him to come out fast and hard and to bring a fucking fight for the first couple minutes, but I'm gonna break him. He's never been in there with someone like me. I think I'm the biggest guy he's ever fought. He's fighting guys that fight 145, 155. I'm a big 170 pounder, and he might have power at 55, but I'm bringing power from like 200 pounds down to 70 that he's not going to be able to deal with. That I'm going to really come back to this moment right now in the interview and remember me saying this when I knock him out after I do it.
When you like look back at like all of the MMA fights that you've had and like all the victories that you've had, is there a fight on your resume that you look back at and you're like, you know what, this was my most complete performance. This is the fight that I've had that I'm most proud of.
Not too many people really even remember this fight or know this fight, but it was my second amateur fight ever, I would say. Young in my career. I fought a boxer, and we were both 1-0 with knockouts in the first round, and I trained my hands heavy that fight. And I felt like I was a professional boxer going into the fight, and my hands were clean, and I scored a couple takedowns in that fight. And then another fight would be the Kyle Troyan fight. I wrestled, I showed good striking, head kicks, grappling, and maybe even my pro debut, because that was a fucking war. So my favorite fight that I've ever been in was probably the Marquez fight, the fight I lost. So
Hey, it was a fantastic fight. Nick, like you're a very young guy. You show a lot of promise. Like you're a fan favorite. People love watching you fight. And anyone who's ever seen you compete before would understand why I say all of those words. So if you haven't seen Nick fight, make sure you go on YouTube. Make sure you go on Fight Pass. Check it out for yourself. But Nick, like here we are. It's a new year, 2024, and for you an opportunity to like not only get a professional victory under your belt but potentially go on a run and show people kind of like what it is that you're all about. What has changed the most about your game between now and your most recent fight?
dedicated. I'm fucking dedicated. I live and breathe this shit. Mad people train themselves to be fighters. I am a fighter. I was born a fighter. It's in my fucking blood. Just Google the last name and you'll see like what my family's about. Like I'm really for real with this shit. There's no faking it. I'm gonna go on a fucking crazy run after this fight, and I'm gonna show the world who I am. I really do think I am the diamond in the rough that hasn't been found yet. And June 7th, I'm gonna show the world again who I am and get right back on track with. I really do, in my heart, believe I'm gonna get him out of there within 2 rounds. Definitely.
Nick, final question for you, and it's simply this: like you are a very cerebral guy. Everything that you do is with intention, and I know you have a hit list. I absolutely know you do. after this fight, give me a name. Like, who is it that you want to see next after this?
There's mad guys. Mad guys at CFFC talk shit too in the 170-pound division. Kevin Pease, I would love to fucking break his face. He called out my teammates. Goes down there acting like he's the champ. I don't buy any of that bullshit. The only thing I see in his fights is good grappling, superior grappling. That's what he shows. Hands wise, I would put him out on the fucking feet early in that fucking fight. Man, anybody can fucking get it. I'm one man against the world. Anybody in the 170 division can fucking fight me. All they gotta do is message me and we can get this shit booked. I'm going on a big run this fight. This is like the last time I'm ever fucking losing, and I'm motivated than ever to put a whooping on this kid June 7th.
Well, Mr. Caracappa, I appreciate your time this evening, sir. If there's anyone that you would like to thank or anyone that you would like to shout out before I let you go, let's do it.
All my teammates over at Dante's, Nicolanti, Luke, Eric, Jerry, Cheeto, Colin, my two older brothers, Iron House Performance in Freeholds got me in shape, the best shape I've ever been in my life, truly. He knows exactly what he's doing with my levels and everything. It was a blessing meeting him. My sponsor in Freehold, the best breakfast place you could ever go to, is called the Skillet in Freehold. It's the best food out there. And that's pretty much it. Anybody who's rocking with me, thank you. I support everybody. And June 7th, Team Caracappa train gets back to where it started.
Well, Nick, I appreciate your time, sir, and I look forward to having you back on the program really, really soon.
Definitely. Thank you. It was an honor again being on your show.